In today's world there are many diverse religious beliefs, but it pretty well comes down to those who believe in God and those who do not. There have been believers and atheists for a long time, but of late a new singularity of cynicism has begun to emerge, that being the assertion that there never was such a person as Jesus Christ. It seems odd that Jesus is singled out for this denial, seeing as most atheists, while denying God, accept the fact that the historic religious leaders of the planet's various faiths were in fact actual living humans, however deluded. The claim that Jesus is a mythical figure of the Bible is the basis of this denial, but does that argument hold up under examination? Let's have a look. Was Abraham a mythical figure? How about King David? Or Moses? King Solomon? John the Baptist? King Herod? Or Salome? How about Caiaphas? Or Mary Magdalene? They may have been good, bad, or ugly, but were all these persons the creation of biblical bullshit artists? Or did they actually live? And was Jesus a divine visitor in human form, or nothing but a bit of religious wishful thinking? Well, if he was imaginary, he certainly voiced spiritual teachings that excelled all before or since by virtue of their inherent blend of simplicity and profundity. Who can argue the spiritual supremacy and paramount practicality of the Golden Rule? Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Perhaps the difficulty springs from parts of the scriptures that may smack of, at the very least, embellishment, if not out-and-out nonsense. In fact, all the evolutionary religions of the earth have not hesitated to use fear and fantasy to encourage large numbers of adherents to follow them without question. This has led to the trampling of common sense and the shunning of science, to the near psychosis of fanatical religious belief. Fact and truth are the very devil speaking. This has doubtlessly led to a rejection by modern man of Jesus, who they regard as an impossibility. Let us examine some of the reasons why. In this day and age, many are put off by the idea of the virgin birth. If God made sex, how can it be inherently wrong? They ask. And the answer is, of course it's not wrong or vulgar. Jesus was born in the same manner as all babies before or since. Joseph was the earthly father of Jesus, just as Mary was the earth mother. Neither of them was a divine being, although the creator of the universe was born to them as a helpless human babe. As it happened, an angel actually did appear to a group of shepherds and proclaim, "To you this day is born a Savior." And angels sang and rejoiced over the sight of Jesus' birth. But no mortal ear heard these hosannas, as angels are not of flesh and blood, nor are they the spirits of departed mortals, neither was a star moved from its place in the sky to rest over the scene of the Nativity. Now any god that would do that would be scary. This truly is but a charming myth. However, there were actually 3 wise men who came to pay homage to the newborn human divinity. And they did worship him and bring precious gifts. They had been invited by the messengers of the Most Highs to greet the Creator, who had come to live in the form of his lowly but beloved earth children. And so his planetary life began. Young Jesus learned his trade from Joseph. While visiting the temple, the lad amazed his elders with wisdom well beyond his tender years. Grown to young manhood, he assembled the apostles. Jesus taught the apostles to assist in the new revelation of truth that was taking place on earth. He himself was the revelation, revealing the personality of the universe creator incarnate as a man of this world and making it known that the fatherhood of God and a life everlasting were the free gifts of the paradise deities to all mankind. Some of the supernatural events associated with Jesus did actually take place. For example, when Jesus was baptized by John, all present heard a voice. The voice proclaimed, "This is my beloved Son in whom I am well pleased, give him heed." Other instances of supposed demonstration of Jesus' supernatural powers were untrue. Jesus walking on water is a myth. He refused to act in contravention of his own natural laws, like gravity. Even so, the legend has become a stumbling block to realists considering the veracity of Christ. These are areas where one must seek inner guidance to help sort out the prevarications from the truth. One thing is certain. To know Jesus is to know a Father who loves his children. Suffer the little children to come unto me, for such is the kingdom of heaven. Although he was full of compassion and forgiveness, he had this terrible warning for those who abused children. Any who cause these little ones to stumble would be better to tie a millstone around their neck and cast themselves into the deepest sea. Like any man, he knew righteous indignation, illustrated by the cleansing of the temple, which made him some enemies among the Pharisees. Jesus did occasionally, almost inadvertently, use his divine ability to give comfort to the afflicted, healing the sick, restoring sight to the blind. So it was true that he possessed certain spirit abilities, but this was natural for a man who was equally human and divine. His many appearances and wise teachings are too numerous to report in this presentation. But his gospel of a loving and merciful God offended the priesthood, who declared his teachings to be blasphemy. He was condemned as being of the devil. The Pharisees waited for him to commit some act they could deem worthy of death. Their chance came when word spread through the land that Jesus had raised Lazarus from the dead. Fearing to lay hands on Jesus themselves, the Pharisees sent some Roman soldiers to see that Jesus was arrested in the Garden of Gethsemane. Jesus was taken before Caiaphas the high priest of the Pharisees, and also before Herod, the king of Judea. But neither Caiaphas nor Herod had the authority to have Jesus put to death, so they sent him to appear before Pontius Pilate, the Roman governor. Even though Pilate found no guilt in Jesus, he allowed the mob to rule and condemned Jesus to crucifixion. After his death, the body of Jesus was laid in a tomb, and a great rock rolled across the entrance to seal it permanently. Jesus had claimed that he would rise from the dead, and although they did not believe him, the authorities sought to prevent followers of Jesus from removing his body from the tomb and claiming he had come back from the dead. A troop of Roman soldiers was sent to guard the tomb, but they quickly retreated when the rock began to roll back without apparent cause. When Magdalene came to the tomb of Jesus, she was distressed to find it open and empty, and she began to weep. Suddenly, she heard a familiar voice, "Mary." And then she knew. It was the Master, back from the dead. It should be noted that when Jesus appeared to the apostles, he did not invite them to inspect his wounds, as he was in the new body of the next life. "Touch me not, for I have not yet ascended to my Father." Neither did a multitude watch him rise mystically into the sky. When he was done making his last visits, he simply disappeared. Meanwhile, the thousands of invisible celestial beings who labor here ceaselessly continued in their duties, as they have done to this very moment. So back to the original question, was Jesus Christ a real person? What evidence is there? Even Herod left a few buildings. What did Jesus leave? He left the Spirit of truth, by which we may know him. Isn't it odd that so many prattle on about string theories and event horizons and the Big Bang when cosmically they are about as conscious of reality as the bacteria in your colon know what you want for your next birthday? Yes, Jesus Christ Joshua ben Joseph was a real person who came to live on this very world. How do I know? I was there. Frequently asked question. What did happen to the material body of Jesus? It was removed from the tomb by celestials and their helpers, then destroyed to prevent indignities. The doorway to eternity is within you.